So I was out here last spring in a really bad storm. It kind of came on us by surprise. We were having a really nice day. We'd watched some killdeer chicks run around. We were having dinner, and then suddenly the winds just really picked up. Our boat was on the North Shore. We had to tie it to a tree so it didn't float away. And then the water just started rising really quickly. As soon as it breaks either shore and comes into the pond, it rises very quickly. Our house became an island. We also don't have a toilet in our house. It's down the path a little bit, so we had to wear waders or canoe to the toilet. Yeah, and we were worried about the house, but if you can see, the house is a little bit raised up, so it was safe. If we'd have needed to, we could evacuate to a safer house in Gravelly Bay, but we sat tight and made it through. In previous years, all our tree swallow boxes used to be able to be accessed in wellies. Now we have to wear chest waders. We have carp swimming around us while we're trying to check boxes.
What Long Point was for me before coming out here was the unknown. No one can go there. The Old Cut Research Station we could play and you could work at and you could see. Breakwater was just this mystical place, and the tip was even more mystical far out. And you would hear about the great birds that are at the tip, but not at Old Cut. So it was the mystery. And then when I first visited the tip in '96, it was kind of what I expected. There was a lighthouse, big house, a lawn, nets in the garden, place that you immediately fall in love with. I always like to say it's the last remaining wilderness in Southern Ontario. You could say the only wilderness in Southern Ontario. what I've grown to appreciate it more is not what I get out of it, but it's what everybody else gets out of it. So bringing new blood out and seeing how it affects them is one of the greatest joys that we get about this place. The Lighthouse Keeper's House is the last remaining infrastructure of a whole series of probably 15 or 20 buildings over the course of the last 150 years that have been at the tip. The house was built in the early 1960s, and it housed the family of the lighthouse keepers for about 30 years until the mid-90s, and then it housed our volunteers and staff for the last 30 years. Over the last 5 years, extremely high Great Lake water levels, combined with erosions and storms and just the vibrant, ephemeral nature of Long Point sort of made the decision that we had to take the house down in a controlled, safe setting as opposed to cleaning up a mess later on. We've moved all the solar that used to be in the house down to a container that we have in a safe spot about 1 kilometer west. In order just to get the power working, we needed a receptacle. So we're doing a last minute scrounge for electronics that we can have power to run a fridge at the container. Scrounging, making do. What other cliches are there for?
Beachcombers?
The beachcombers? You just make do with whatever you can find. In this case, the nearest hardware store will take us 2 hours to get there, at least. So this is our hardware store. The last walkthrough was one of the harder moments because it was like, well, that's it. What I was actually looking for were those last little bits that I wanted to salvage. What did we forget? Found a few things, but so that was mostly the purpose for it. But also just, you touch the wall and say goodbye. Put a lot of heart and soul into anything you own. I don't own that, the organization does, but any building becomes a part of you. It's tough. It's kind of like saying goodbye to a family member. We probably had 200 people from, I'd say, 40 countries stay in that house. Relationships blossomed in that place. Lives were changed in that place about the experience of being out here, a part of what we're doing. And then to watch it come down was a little bit surreal, but we're not leaving the tip. We're here forever. The house was a critical part of our infrastructure, but we also have a cabin which maintains most of our facilities, and we're able to continue the research and the monitoring. And in the next 5 years, we plan to rebuild. The house was our 4th dwelling out here. Change is just part of life on Long Point. We're going to rebuild a 5th, and I might be lucky enough to be around for the 6th. So that's just, as I said, it's life on Long Point. For the last 60 years, we've been changing lives, and we hope to do it for the next 60.
So this building we call the block building. It actually used to house the generators for the lighthouse. We used to use this as our banding lab, but unfortunately in the spring, the water came right up and was crashing against the building here. And we're not sure how much foundation this building has. When it was built, there was a lot more beach out that way. There was even other buildings out on this side. So we've left this building to move into another one for banding because it's unsafe at the moment.
Our challenges, of course, are relatively minor compared to those encountered by birds and wildlife on a daily basis. Throughout their life, migratory birds run a gauntlet of natural and unnatural predators, invasive species, pesticides, windows, habitat loss, and ongoing pressures of climate change. Long Point is our last wilderness in southern Ontario, an example of what remarkable wild spaces can be preserved for birds and for the well-being of us all. The tip is our panacea. It's a respite for wildlife and a source for knowledge, inspiration, and engagement for us all. Long Point is our home, our heritage, our future.